Union Buildings will host the Red Bull X Fighters World Tour first ever finale on African soil, and the X Fighters are coming to town at the end of the month. The Red Bull X Fighters World Tour finals will be taking place with the world's best freestyle motocross athletes jetting in to show us just how it's done. Now fans can expect a titanic display of freestyle motocross featuring the best riders on the planet throwing down their craziest antics. Now, come August the 23rd, those in the know will recognize bike flipping heroes like Tom Pages from France, Levi Sherwood from New Zealand, and king of the double backflip, Josh Sheehan. Now, also defending South Africa's honor will be Nick de Wit, who competes as a wild card in the event and is the only local entry. Nick, welcome to studio. Just looking at those visuals, what an awesome sport. Tell us, how did you get into motocross?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. Yeah, well, motocross and freestyle motocross is slightly different. I started racing motocross, which is a couple of guys racing together. And freestyle motocross, as you saw from the visuals, it's one person by himself doing a bunch of crazy tricks on a jump. And yeah, it's just evolved from the racing. I always enjoyed jumping and taking my hands off and showing off a little bit. And yeah, it probably evolved into a sport, and now the sport's really huge around the world. And yeah, as you mentioned, Red Bull X Fighters is coming to South Africa.
How dangerous is it?
Yeah, it's a dangerous sport, but I say you drive a car every day. Think of how many people get injured doing that. And yeah, we push the limits and do touch the edge of danger every now and then, but you know what, it's fun. We train hard, we practice, we're professional for what we do, and yeah, we minimize the risk as much as possible.
Do you ever feel afraid when you're up in the air thinking, what if I don't come down?
Not up in the air, but maybe just before you're going to go up in the air, you do maybe think a little bit or get a bit nervous. But you know what, we've practiced it over and over again, and you know what, if there's a slight bit of hesitation, that's when you crash. So we practice not hesitating, we practice knowing exactly what we want and committing 100% to our trick or jump or whatever it is.
It's quite historic having it at the Union Buildings. I mean, it's a beautiful building, so picturesque and so South African. It must be nice to have a home ground advantage at this tournament.
Yeah, well, Red Bull X Fighters is renowned for putting the X Fighters event at iconic locations around the world. The last event was actually on a lake in Munich in Germany, and now this final stop, yeah, it's at the Union Buildings, and you know what, it's got a lot of significance to South Africa. I think that's one of the reasons why they chose that location, just for the history of South Africa and that location. So yeah, really excited. It's I stay pretty close to Pretoria, so all my family and friends and hometown advantage. So I'm looking forward to it.
Tell us a bit about your competition.
Yeah, well, the competition's pretty tough. The Red Bull X Fighters, there's I think 5 or 6 stops around the world, and as I said, the last one was in Munich. This one is yeah, obviously going to be in the Union Buildings. There's a lot of riders from America, European riders, then obviously Australian riders like Josh Sheehan and Thomas Paget, they fighting for the title. So yeah, I've got to go in there and battle with these big boys, so I'm excited to bring it on.
Has training been quite hard and clinical for this one?
Yeah, I have been putting a lot of training with a personal trainer, and also just spending a lot of time on my bike. And you know what, this type of sport, you have your ups and downs, and yeah, I've had a lot of ups, and just getting ready for the event, it's exciting. So I think by the 23rd of August, I'll be ready to rock and roll and go show South Africa what I'm made out of.
And we're really looking forward to it. How big is the FMX in South Africa as a sport as a whole?
You know what, FMX is a relatively small sport. It's pretty expensive to get involved in the sport, so for the masses to do it, it's not like you just need a football or something like that. So unfortunately, it's expensive, so that does limit the growth of the sport. But there are a couple of guys that are riding and sort of building the sport and coming up and sort of up and coming, and then I put quite a bit back into the sport to help these guys, you know, develop. But yeah, it's small compared to all the normal sports. There's a handful of us, probably 10, 15 guys that actually can do it.
What are your aspirations for the future? What are some of the accolades that you'd like to achieve?
You know what, I've been involved in freestyle for just probably 12 years now.
Wow.
So I've had a lot of really high points in my career. I've traveled to nearly every continent in the world. As you saw from the visuals, I've backflipped over airplanes. I've jumped in front of the tallest building in the world in Taiwan, Taipei 101. I've done a lot of these really cool things and these cool projects with Red Bull. That's one of their trademarks, if you want to call it that they really like to find iconic things and do something really cool in front of it. So I've done a lot of that kind of stuff, but yeah, I'm not finished yet. I've got a lot more plans up my sleeves, so let's go.
Just very quickly, because we're running out of time. The name Sick Nick, where does it come from?
Everybody asks me that. You know what, it's just a friend of mine when I was starting off to say, Nick, you're sick, Sick Nick, and it just stuck. And you know what, you can't choose your nicknames.
We like it. Thank you so much,
Awesome.
and we wish you all the best for the Red Bull X Fighters, which of course is taking place on the 23rd of August outside the Union Building.